Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt with 86 Game, and NEWEGG contacted me and asked me if I'd take a look at this Acer Aspire E5 series, and I said, yeah, sure. First look, it doesn't look like much other than a typical everyday laptop, and for a price point of $574, that's sort of what I thought. Didn't expect much from it. It wasn't until I started going through the specification sheet that I realized this is a budget gaming laptop, and this is perfect. This is perfect for some of us with a low dollar that maybe can't afford to buy the parts for a desktop build, but, you know, or just looking for a cheap laptop that can game. Well, this is it. Now, one of the solutions I did do, which I'm going to go ahead and say now, is I set it up in a desktop kind of style just to see what I thought, and I gamed on it with my simulated desktop experience for a little while. That's one thing that I did, and I put some clips in here so you can see sort of how I set that up. I got the idea kind of from what the book art does and seeing how somebody else used a MacBook Pro, and I was like, well, that's cool. Let's set that up and try it out for us as well. Anyways, when I started going through the hardware specification sheet, that's where I realized that you get a lot for your money here. A lot, and it's pretty impressive. Now, the Acer Aspire E5 series covers a large, broad range, so be careful at what you're looking for when you're shopping. Make sure you read really hard on the specifications. I have a written review that kind of talks about some of that on the website itself if you're interested in going to look at it, with some of the most comparable related models to this, a cousin model that you can find just about anywhere, but this one is exclusive at NEWEGG, and I just want to make sure that we go over what it has, because for the price, it is the best of them that I've seen. This particular one comes with a GTX 950M. That's pretty impressive. It's not those high-end graphics, integrated graphics that there are. It doesn't support G-Sync technology or anything, but it's great and it will handle business. Now, it's 720p to 1080p for medium and high on most AAA titles. You'll be able to play just about all the games you want. A lot of people ask questions like, can you play Ark? Yes, you can play Ark on this. You can play Overwatch. You can play Battlefield. You can play Battlefront on this. You can play all these games, and I did some testing. At the end of this video, we'll throw that in so that you can kind of see what I've tested with it. Going over a few other things, it does have 128GB SSD. That's pretty nice. It's by Lite-On, and it's an NVMe M.2 format, so you have a whole 2.5 bay available if you wanted to upgrade later. But at this moment, what it comes with is a 5400 RPM, 1TB hard drive to store the rest of your game library on, videos, documents, files. But the operating system, everything else is installed on the 128GB SSD. That's pretty impressive. Now, if you wanted to take that out, like I said, and put another 2.5-inch SSD into the other drive, that works too, if that's something you're interested in doing. One of the bad things that it does come with, though, is Windows 10 Home Edition and tons of bloatware. So it's a well worth an amount of time spent to get rid of all that bloatware, disable things on startup, but it does come with that, and that's something that's a little sad. It also comes with 8GB of Kingston DDR4 at 2133 MHz. It's easily upgradable with a second slot to put it in there for dual channel. It's not running in dual channels, it just comes with one stick out of the box, but if you get a dual channel kit later, then that could be something that's just easily upgradable as well. Some of the other features of it comes with one USB 2.0, two USB 3.0s, and one USB 3.1 of the Type-C variant, as well as an HDMI connector, and for some reason the VGA out, which seems to be on every laptop around the world. Now, the processor it comes with is the Core i5-6200U, and while that's a dual-core version of the i5 processor, if you want the quad-core version, you're looking for the i5-6300HQ and up, but this is the dual-core variant, and it is a very nice processor. Don't be dissuaded by the fact that it's a dual-core i5 processor. It does the job, it trucks along, and it is awesome, and I think that this was a great inclusion, especially for the price point of this laptop right here. If there was anything I could say about it that was good, I would say don't worry about it, really. Just don't think too much about it. Of course, now, you're not looking to game AAA titles at ultra and epic settings. That's something to consider when you're buying a budget laptop, but you will be able to play just fine with the hardware that's included in this. A couple things to talk about too. Their screen is great. The actual LCD screen, I've seen a lot of laptops in the past. I used to own one from CyberPower, if you've ever heard of CyberPower PC. You know, they sent me one that had a 1080p screen on it, and I remember looking at it like, this is no way. There's just no way. I can't see anything. Resolution was awful, detail, depth, color, it was all off. This is not the case here with the Acer Aspire E5 series. This is actually a very beautiful 1080p screen that I can see very well. And one of the things that is also worth mentioning is the web camera sort of was a little bit lacking, only at 720p, and though it features HDR, high dynamic range, it's something that was a little lackluster.
So this is the webcam, and this is the microphone, and this is pretty much all you get for this. So if you're sitting in a coffee shop across town, and I'm sitting in a coffee shop across town, expect it to be kind of like this if you're getting it from me. If we had the same laptop, it'd be the same from me from you.
So this is the webcam, and again, this is just another take at it, as I did the other one while it was nighttime, and you saw kind of what that looked like. Look a little bit background distortion, but this is what it looks like in daylight. And that's just something that needed to be mentioned. I don't see why we couldn't have done a 1080p camera myself. It seems like it's not asking much at this point in time. It does have 802.11ac, which is your Wi-Fi standard, which is great. Connect to a 5 GHz network. One of the other things about that is that it's multi-user. So it's capable of picking up a stream and using what it needs to allocate for itself versus just taking priority over your router, and that's something worth consideration too. Now the speakers on this laptop are pretty good. I didn't actually expect them to be as good as they were. Out of the box I turned it on and I was listening to some stuff, and I remember thinking, wow, these are actually pretty loud with a pretty decent range. Now they're still laptop speakers, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're mind-blowing Bose or Sonos or Harman Kardon quality. They're still laptop speakers, but they get a pretty good sound out of them, and that was somewhat impressive and somewhat of a sleeper surprise to me, because that's not something I was even considering checking out, and then I was just kind of like, whoa, these aren't terribly bad. So, oh, there's also a headphone audio jack, but I didn't mention that too, for those of you headphone users that are going to put something on top of your head like most normal people would do. I personally don't like that, but that's an option for you to do. Some of the things where we save a little bit of money with this particular PC right here is the fact that we don't have a bunch of fancy RGB lighting all over it. The Batmobile design of a case, that's not implemented here. Like I said, when I first looked at it, it was just sort of an everyday looking laptop look with a bezel that looks stronger and more metallic-y than it is. It's actually kind of a plastic and a little bit on the flimsy side, but not horrible. It's durable enough to survive pretty much normal wear and tear and use and travel, but otherwise it's not a big fancy flashy case, and I figured that that's where Acer saves a little bit of the money to afford it to be the price of $574 to $600, depending on whatever it is right now on NEWEGG. I'm sure every time I say a price of a review I do, it changes, so I'm sure without doubt it's already changed, and you'll be like, well, that's not the price that I see. But if that happens, I'm sorry. It's just how it happens sometimes. Keep an eye on it though, because if it does go back up, it'll surely go back down, and that's something to consider as well if you're in the market for this. Now, one of the cool, interesting things I did was this whole desktop setup thing. I got a $4 plate holder. Just imagine, you know, going to your grandma's house and seeing where she puts on all her display plates from around the world on something. And I put the laptop into that. I plugged into the HDMI out into a cheap 1080p monitor that has a 5ms and it's a TN panel, I believe. I plugged in a Z88 Element keyboard, which is a portable mechanical keyboard for under 50 bucks. It's a little esports keyboard. It doesn't have the 10 key. The arrows are a little offset, but other than that, it's great. Blue switches on it. And Logitech G302 dataless mouse. I plugged all this in and I had a desktop gaming experience when I was ready to go. I just unplugged it all, threw it into the bag, and took it with me. Easy pie. Or easy as pie. Guys, there really is so much to cover with this laptop, and if you want a lot more detail about it, go check out the website. I wrote I think it came up to like 8 pages when I printed it, going into details and suggestions and what it has and what it can do. But go check that out. Give it a read if you're somebody that's patient enough to read. But if you're like me and you like to watch people talk to you about it, unfortunately I can't cover it all here, because those last videos I tried making, it goes up to like 30 minutes, and I'm not going to spend 30 minutes talking about it and losing everybody's attention. So if you want to read about it, there's a link down below to the blog that I wrote that covers the whole review, the written review and detail of it, and I would recommend you go check it out before purchasing. There's also links on there, as well as a clip back to this in case you get tired of reading. You can just come back and finish watching me talking. Also, guys, you got a little bit more time before the giveaway's over for the 400 subscribers, and I guess I need to start preparing for 500 subscribers. We'll see who falls off and who sticks around. But you guys have a wonderful day, night, whatever it is. Thanks, NEWEGG, for sending me this for review. I'm actually really excited about this. This is a perfect product for the budget-oriented and the budget-minded. And thank you, Acer, for making a good product that reaches out to the lower tier of the budget buyers. You know, it's nice to see that they don't get forgotten and left in the dust. And that's a great thing to have. It's just something that's affordable, that can be both a desktop and a laptop solution. And I find it to be an absolutely great buy. And that's why I'd like to give it my first ever award, the 86 Gold Award.
Happy Halloween, are you scared? Ha 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 ha, I got a scary review for you.